Before you start, remember, give yourself a good warm-up. Hey up guys, welcome to my little run today. Just doing like a few K, but also during this run I just want to give you my 6 top tips for running in the snow. Now we don't get loads of snow in the UK, but we do get some, and sometimes that's worse because you're just not used to it, hence this video. And you might be thinking, well, if you're in the UK you don't get a lot of snow, what right have you got to talk to us about running in the snow? Well, this time last year I was getting ready for the Ice Ultra, Beyond the Ultimate Ice Ultra, which came 5th in that race. I've also spent probably getting on for 3 or 4 years of my life in Norway doing Arctic training in the Royal Marines. So this kind of, you know, snowy Arctic environment, I've got a good understanding of it. So these tips are made, whoa, windy, from all those times spent in those environments. My first tip, in no real order, is you've got to slow down a little bit. So with regards to slowing down a little bit, it's a lot to do with, you know, the fact that it's just so slippy, you can't really see what's underfoot. As I'm running along there, my foot is starting to slide a little bit. And you don't want to be pulling any hamstrings or your groin, hip flexors or anything like that. So it's quite important that you just take the pressure off. Forget about your pace, forget about your cadence, forget about the time, and just run and just be happy the fact that you're out, you're running, it's chilly, other people are not. When you meet them in a race, you're going to beat them. There you are. Okay, whoa, too close. So next one I want to talk to you about is just getting your clothing right. You know, you want to start so that you're not too hot, so that as you're running along you don't have to strip too many clothes off. But also just think, you know, you want to keep yourself out of the wind, you know, you want to protect yourself from the wind, you want to keep your hands and head warm. I've got a buff so I can pull that over my head to regulate my body temperature. I can always take my gloves off. But one of the most important things is your footwear, to make sure you've got a good grip. You don't necessarily need to have Gore-Tex or waterproof shoes, okay, but if it is quite bad and there's a lot of snow or it's very slushy underfoot, very muddy, you might want to consider either gaiters to keep some of that crap and that snow out, or some kind of waterproof sealskin socks, for example, so you can just keep your feet dry as you're going along. Other than that, getting your feet a little bit cold, getting into the mud, getting into slush, sometimes really is part of it. You might just want to have a think as well, you know, if it's quite icy and under freezing conditions, then you might want to think about some kind of studded shoe, like the Solomon Snow Cross or something like that it's called, or maybe even something like YakTracks, which are like little fittings that you can put onto your feet like a small crampon to help you with the ice, or even snowshoes, which I took to the Arctic last year. Same again, you don't want to be going out with too much kit, but you do want to be safe and you do want to be able to achieve the aim. Okay, number 3 is plan your route. Spend a bit of time just planning a route, making sure that, wait, let me get out of this wind. Oh, there we go, that's better. Yeah, so number 3 is just plan your route. Spend a bit of time having a little think about, you know, if you're going to run on paths, Can you find paths that are more likely to have been salted or gritted or cleared of snow, free of ice? If you've got to run on the road, make sure you're safe and you can be seen on the road. But other than that, you know, just have a little think about the terrain, where you are, and always let people know that you've gone out running and where you're going to be, okay? Otherwise, you're pretty reckless. The sun's quite low. You get a lot of reflection off the sun into your eyes, so you might want to think about some sunglasses. I know it seems weird, middle of winter wearing sunglasses, but the glare from that sun can really strain your eyes, and you can end up with a bit of snow blindness. Unlikely in this country, but it can happen, so think about it. Ironic that I've just been talking about planning your route and I've got this bloody frozen lake, and down here no snow. I'm just gonna have to go for it. Here we go. Oh, yes, dry feet, dry feet. Okay, number 4 is just be a bit adaptable, you know, because when you're out running these kind of conditions, things are going to change, your route's going to change, the weather might change, you know, you might get somewhere where you just can't get past it. But as well as that, just be a little bit adaptable in regards to your gait, your cadence, your stride length, you know, the pace, all that kind of stuff, and just be prepared to just take the pressure off and just adapt to it as and when you need to. So, I'm just going to make the most of this little pathway I've got here that's quite sheltered, get out the wind for a bit. Ears are definitely feeling it a little bit. Okay, tip number 5 is just be a little bit respectful of the actual, you know, training that you're doing and the weather conditions. One thing I really want to encourage you to do is just maintain your focus. Think about what you're doing. In this kind of conditions, things can go wrong pretty quick, okay? And when they do, you know, normally if you're stranded out here for an hour before someone comes to find you, that's fine. But these kind of temperatures, when you're already cold, perhaps wet, whether it's through sweat or the weather conditions itself, you know, it can go wrong pretty quick with cold weather injuries. So just respect it, have a little bit of focus, okay? Hand in hand with that, it's like I said, safety. Let people know roughly where you're running, how long you're going to be, when they should expect you back. Just because it's cold, wet, snowy and you've got brambles in your eyes, don't forget about your hydration and your food, especially if you're on for a long run. Because it's like snow everywhere, or the weather conditions are quite bad, you might think, oh, my fingers are a bit cold, I don't really want to have to mess around with my water bottle or my zips or anything like that, and you can ignore your hydration and nutrition, and that bites people on the backside. So make sure, despite all the weather, that you keep on top of that, again, to keep yourself safe. That reminds me, I don't know if you can hear, but the air ambulance is out there as well. It just reminds me of a time actually when I was out running and I came across someone who had a car accident and ended up getting caught up in providing a little bit of first aid. It was nothing serious, but it happened. So the other thing I just want to mention in regards to safety and respecting what you're doing is to make sure you've got a full battery in your phone, okay, and you take your phone with you. Because it's cold, your battery's not going to last anywhere near as long, okay, so remember that. You might go out where it's normally a half battery thinking, oh, over the post, so this will do me, but because it's cold, it doesn't last anywhere near as long, okay, so remember that. I just pray that whatever that helicopter's for, nothing too serious. Right, we've got a couple of miles back to go to get back to the house, get back to the warmth, and then, believe it or not, I've got a spin session tonight. Spinning. What's that about? I'm just waiting for this freaking bird scarer to go off. God damn, hate those things. Takes me right back to bloody Iraq and Afghanistan. Don't get me wrong, you know, I don't get all weirded out and stuff, but stuff starts going bang, you start quelling on the mud. People look at you like you're a bit daft. It's just bred into you. Okay, whilst I'm running on the road, just a little bit on actual technique. Now I'm no running coach, but But I know what kind of makes sense. I'm going to try and keep myself upright a little bit, so I'm not leaning too far forward or too far back. I want to keep my weight central over where my feet are striking. I'm landing with a flat foot, not the heel, not the forefoot, because I want, again, just want a little bit of balance. And my feet are just a little bit wider than they normally would be as I'm running down the road. You know, normally they're pretty much a straight line, one behind the other. But because it's slightly unbalanced, there's a chance of slipping. You've just got them that little bit wider, similar to when you're running on the mud. So remember that, relax a little bit, trust your feet. Sometimes you can run that stiff that it affects your running and you're slipping and all that because you're overcautious. Just relax, be a little bit adaptable and get it done. So I've just got to the end, pretty much, I don't know what, 300 metres to the house. So my last point, number 6, is especially, guys sledging up there, especially if you're in the UK, you know, you don't get a lot of snow. Point number 6 is to enjoy it, you know, just take a bit of time, think about what you're doing because it'll pass. Already this is starting to melt, already there's less snow than when I set off about 40 minutes ago. So just enjoy it, take it all in, think about it because we'll soon be into spring. The conditions change again. So I hope you've enjoyed these little 6 tips for running in the snow. If you've got any more tips, if you've got any own tips, things that you think I've missed out, all right, then stick them in the comments below. I'd love to hear what your ideas are. You might be more experienced than me. So yeah, stick them down, let's share the knowledge. So until the next run, take care.